Imagine society as one giant pizza. This pie represents the opportunities and resources available in the United States. However, unlike a regular pizza, this one has racial inequity built right into it. So what does systemic racism look like in real life? Meet two newborn babies, Leticia and Susie. From the very start, their slices of pizza are unequal. Even though they were both born at the same time and place, Leticia faces disadvantages due to what her race appears to be. Okay, hold it right there. What if Leticia's family is super wealthy? She can buy anything and do anything she wants because she's got unlimited money. That's an excellent question. Let me explain. What you're referring to is another kind of privilege called economic privilege. And of course, having lots of money will open up doors for people in life-changing ways. But unfortunately, even if they're wealthy, Black and brown people will still face racial discrimination on a systemic level that white people do not. I'm glad you asked about this topic, and we'll be talking about it in later examples in the series. Let's find out what's going on with those two babies that were just born. Studies show that baby Leticia is more likely to die in the hospital, especially if her doctor is white. Her mother is more likely to die in childbirth compared to white mothers, no matter what her socioeconomic level is. In school, Leticia is more likely than Susie to be seated in the back of the classroom, be suspended, or even arrested for similar behaviors. Leticia is more likely to face punishment from school resource officers for behaviors that are considered normal when displayed by white students. Leticia is more likely to be put into a group for children who struggle to learn, even before her teacher sees a single test score. As an adult, she'll likely face discrimination in her job application and earn 25% less than Susie, despite having the same degree, skills, and qualifications. The fact is that systemic racism is so powerful that repeated studies have found that job applications that have Black-sounding names are often overlooked, even when they have the same qualifications and degrees. So why would anyone do this to a little baby? How does this inequality happen? Let's say society is an apple orchard now. It's not about individual bad apples. Something's wrong with the entire orchard. Similarly, systemic racism isn't about individuals who are racist, but instead it's the structure of the entire system that promotes racism throughout. Just as Black or brown people are born into our culture of systemic racism, white folks are also born and socialized into it as well. And the assimilation is inescapable. Resistance is futile. So what is systemic racism? Systemic racism is the institutionalized policies and practices that perpetuate racial inequity. Systemic racism is all about power, who has it, and how it is used to discriminate in conscious and subconscious ways. Let's look at history. Centuries of slavery and then after emancipation, legal discrimination created a system where white people hold the most wealth and power. Institutions like schools, our justice system, and our financial system were built to uphold this system. The outcomes lead to unequal opportunity for Black people, people of color, and for poor white people in areas of education, housing, healthcare, employment, and generational wealth. One example of systemic racism is school tax laws. In the US, schools are funded by local taxes. Wealthy areas have higher property values, and so the schools get more money. Poorer areas that often have people who have been minoritized get less, and this leads to worse resources and education, which keep inequity going. Legally enslaving a human being in the United States ended over 150 years ago. Its legacy persisted because after emancipation, we had Jim Crow, Black codes, separate but equal, and scores of laws that made it nearly impossible for Black or brown or indigenous people to gain generational wealth. Slavery and colonialism allowed white folks to enrich ourselves by exploiting and marginalizing Black, brown, and indigenous communities. In fact, today, for every $100 a white family makes, a Black family earns only $10. While almost all white people were fully participating in and reaping the benefits of a capitalist economy, enslaved people were kidnapped from their homes, stripped of their names, language, culture, families, history, and humanity. They were put into forced labor and treated horrendously. The truth is, a lot of us don't fully understand exactly what happened in the aftermath of enslaved humans being emancipated. Even after emancipation was obtained, unjust and inequitable laws continue to marginalize and harm. Laws and norms that upheld systemic racism were established. For example, there was redlining in every area, sundown towns, Jim Crow, separate but equal, race massacres, black codes, the Devil's Punch Bowl. I could continue on and on, but most of us weren't taught this in school. Most people don't know that Black people were effectively denied Social Security benefits in the United States. This stopped Black people from gaining generational wealth. We'll learn a lot more about these later in the series. Systemic racism is such an embedded part of our culture in the United States that the truth is, even with good intentions, we could unknowingly be participating in systemic racism. This is how it happens. We vote in policies that might sound okay on the surface, but that actually do terrible harm to Black people and other people of color. We ignore or dismiss microaggressions. We forget it's about a system we were born into and not us personally. We refrain from speaking up against racist behavior. We give white people reasonable doubt because our culture's normalized it. Our media, family, school, and culture in general has enculturated us into using stereotypes to judge non-white people. Understanding systemic racism is crucial for dismantling it. By recognizing our own privilege, we can use it to advocate for change to create a more equitable society. It's not about pointing fingers, but instead, it's about recognizing and addressing the structures that perpetuate inequality in our culture. Remember, the pizza can be baked differently, and the apple orchard can be dismantled and regrown to work for everybody.